Dear learners, welcome to the other session on proposal development, and in this session we would be discussing about the project proposal guide. What are the guidelines which needs to be followed while developing the proposal, how the proposal has to be written. So these are some of the important aspects. This whole week you would be going through different sessions on developing the proposal in different formats. This is very important for the NGOs. This is one of the most important part for NGOs, sessions for NGOs, because whosoever is trying to open up an NGO, start an NGO, this particular week session would be very important, because these are the initial stages when the NGO is set up and when the NGO is registered, when the NGO starts working. Then also for certain other projects, for the ongoing of the NGOs, this becomes very important. So let us now go through some of the aspects related to project proposal guide. Now we straight away come to the steps while writing an effective proposal. Why is it important and what are the parts? Now if you see this wheel, and if you just run this wheel, and you'll find there are 5 different aspects which are related for writing an effective proposal. And if you just see the components of these effective proposals, we had individual sessions on these also, like budgeting we had sessions, like defining the problems we had sessions. So you have to see that everything is clubbed together here, and this wheel starts moving while we start writing an effective proposal. So the first important step is defining the problem. Second step is presenting the solution. Third step is describing the outcome. Fourth step is defining the approach. And the last step is scheduling. That means we have studied in earlier week, we have studied that what are the schedules, there are certain per CM, there are for the projects, there are Gantt charts, etc. So you have to prepare a timeline, and according to timeline, the budget needs to be prepared. So we'll go through these components one by one and see what are the steps in writing an effective proposal. Now the first step is defining the problem which your project proposes to resolve. So we need to identify the problem, and in case we are trying to set up a new NGO, the proposal would be a little different. Even in the new NGO, you need to identify the problem and why this NGO is being created, maybe for the cause to try to rectify or try to propose and resolve certain problems related to a particular community. It can be anything. The second step defines the solutions, or the you can say the results, or some areas which needs attention. So the certain solutions can be projected which will attain and the extent of the impact on the society, whether those solutions are beneficial for the society or not. That impact also has to be checked in the step 2. So when we talk about step 3, it defines what outcomes will your project achieve and how it will lead to the betterment of the society. Step 4 explains the strategies the project adopts to reach the proposed solutions in step 2. And step 5 gives a concrete timeline for accomplishing the project goals along with the estimated budgets, which is divided under different expenditure heads. And this particular aspect, we have both the aspects, in fact scheduling and the budgeting part, we have seen in the earlier sessions. So when we talk about the guidelines, we already know what are the steps for writing an effective proposal. So when we talk about the guidelines for an effective proposal, it is necessary. It is very, very necessary for acquiring the funds for a project as well as getting the sponsors. And this particular part, raising the funds, that we'll see in the next week. So, but in this part, we have already discussed it in development, how the proposal is to be developed. So for writing an effective proposal, it is very important for acquiring the funds. And when we talk about the guidelines for writing a proposal, it can be divided into two categories. First is the planning part and second is the writing part. So the planning parts, we could see it in the development part also. That is the first and the foremost, the basic part. The other part, they follow after the planning part and then writing a proposal. If we have to have an effective proposal, suppose we need to start an NGO, then planning has to be ahead of certain things. So plan ahead means meet, discuss and review the progress of project by taking sufficient time. It is a team effort. Therefore, assigning specific roles and responsibilities to people in terms of developing the proposal becomes very, very important. And one needs to be very realistic in nature because it includes what can reasonably be accomplished in the scope, time and resources. So that is why we are saying that it has to be realistic in nature, because sometimes what happens, we have so many ideas, but those ideas cannot be implemented when taken into the field. Those ideas may not be viable when it comes to the implementation part. So realistic nature is very important because there are certain environmental conditions which we discussed in the macro and micro environment part of the first course on Introduction to NGO Management, where we need to know what is the internal environment of the organization and the external environment of the organization. Here the role of assessing those particular environment comes into picture. That is why NGOs need to be realistic in nature while planning for a proposal. All the NGOs have to be learning organizing. In fact, everybody, even the individuals, have to be a part of a learning organization, because one learns from one's own and others' experiences with the same donor. And demonstrating partnerships, this is very important. One has to collaborate with other organizations to enhance the value of the project. Be factual and specific. We told earlier also that one has to be realistic. The information should be truthful, information should not be false and inaccurate. So for being factual and specific, it needs to have supporting documents. These statements with facts and figures need to be supplemented in form of appendix. Using the simple language, this is very, very important in any case, whether it is a proposal writing or writing the answers to the examination also. One has to use very simple language. Any of the complications in the language results in errors. So avoiding using technical and organizational jargons and simplified language is to be used while writing a proposal. Ask a donor. Call the donors or the funding agencies if they have certain queries regarding their priorities, so that glitches in processing the proposal does not happen. Clarify the roles and responsibilities. Specify which person would play what role. That is very important from the initial stages itself. One needs to read the guidelines very carefully, making the proposal fit for the funding requirements. Reviewing carefully, review the proposal again and again before submitting, before the final submission, once the input has been put together or the information has been collated together. There needs to be a clear format. use a standard format which is legible and easy to understand. If there's no format available with the donors or the sites or the portals which are offering certain kinds of funding, then a standard format, maybe of the organization or the useful formats which are available online also, that can be used. Certain graphics can be used in form of tables and figures to make the proposal more attractive, because this gives the factual information, and here the funding agency or the donors, they come to know what exactly the NGO is doing or what exactly the NGO wants to do. So everything, the past and the future, has to be mentioned categorically, and they have to be represented in form of graphics. Then keeping within the page limits. Now excess, the bulky material is not required. Brief but concise material is required. So lengthy proposals can lead to loss of donors' interest, because reading something at one go becomes quite difficult. Even for us it becomes difficult. It is monotonous in nature. It does not portray a particular message. So that is why it becomes very difficult. So originals and copies have to be submitted as required, and keeping the backup. The backup has also be kept up in case some glitches happen, some problem happens and the proposal doesn't reach the donor, then a backup copy can be submitted again. One needs to be aware of the donor priorities also. Preparing the proposal according to the needs and priorities of the donors, we have discussed earlier. Setting the schedule, setting the timelines, establishing a timeline for the proposal process at the outset, and sending it to all the participants and the team members, because they need to know when the proposal, within what period of time that particular task has to be completed. Project directors. It is better to have separate project directors or project managers for each project, who will be responsible for overseeing the preparation of the proposal, because proposal is just not written in one day. It requires a lot of effort, it requires a lot of time, it requires a lot of information, it requires a lot of brainstorming which goes into preparing an effective proposal. I'm talking about effective proposal. Regular meetings have to be scheduled to assess the proposal's progress and determine any flaws, any shortcomings, any limitations which can be overcome while preparing the proposal. Keeping the notes. Preparing notes for every proposal meeting. It's like preparing the minutes of every proposal meeting to ensure that all relevant such suggestions have been incorporated in those. Now, if somebody, any of the team member forgets certain tasks and it misses out in the proposal, then these notes or the minutes, they help in reviving that particular task and placing it in a proper place. Now, other few guidelines for writing a proposal is like making the sections, breaking the proposal into small and simple subsections for better organization of proposal. Outsourcing the graphics can be done. Third-party users can be used. Complicated illustrations or charts should be outsourced to an expert who knows about the layouts and the graphics for better presentation. Use active verbs and verb forms. Strong subjects and verbs lead to shorter and clearer and precise sentences. Avoiding acronyms, that we have already discussed, that avoiding abbreviations, and it is better not to use uncommon acronyms without listing them. The editor ensures a good editing tool or an expert to remove all the grammatical and the structural errors. The length. Include only relevant documents, relevant details, relevant information to keep the proposal comprehensive and precise. The facts and figures need to be used to support the claims, support the statements mentioned in the proposal, and bulleting can be done to write the points instead of long paragraphs to make reading more effective. And this is one of the most important tools which I too have experienced while writing in certain cases, that points, they are a better way of communicating the information in the written format than the paragraphs, because paragraphs may not make certain sense. So that is why the proposal can be written in points. Then you have the appendix. One needs to enclose the data relevant for supporting claims in the form of appendix. Narration. A background or a rationale in the form of story to attract the attention of donors can also be done, where we were talking about the storyboard. So while narrating in NGOs, this becomes very important, but because the story about the NGO needs to be told in such a form that it attracts the attention of donors. It should have creativity, it should have attention seeking, or some pictures should be there which has certain story revolving around it, and that narration makes the proposal more impressive. And the proposal should always be in a positive tone, so that the donors connect themselves and identify themselves with the proposal. Of course, the covering letter has to be attached with the proposal, and there should be a formal writing. It should be personal, having personal touch, but the language should be very, very formal. Avoiding repetition, one has to be concise, one should not repeat things unnecessarily. The sentence formation should be short, crisp, avoiding giving too much information in one single sentence. Positive tone, that is important. And one thing is very important, that the cover letter should always be there with it. These are the do's of a project proposal, and there are don'ts of a project proposal. One needs to address the appeal to the right person with name and job title correctly spelled, because people are quite sensitive related to their name spellings. One needs to tailor the appeal to the interests and concerns of the recipient. Include clear statement of the organization's objectives and work, and state clearly the purpose for which the funds are needed and the amount is required. One needs to break the large appeal into manageable and realistic amounts for different donors. Include latest annual accounts, and offer to meet the prospective donor and follow up with a letter within a week. And the proposal should be very brief. These are the don'ts of a project proposal. Do not make your appeal letter look mass-produced. It should be very unique. Do not include irrelevant information or large quantities of printed material. Do not get angry at a refusal. Nobody can support every request. Do not be put off by a refusal. Try again next year. Do not feel obliged to offer expensive hospitality to a prospective donor, and do not give too little time for the response. It could take months for a decision to be made. That is very, very important. Now, this is a reference. I'm giving it to you. You can go through the screen recording. There's a template, how to write a proposal, how to make a proposal. There are the project proposal guidelines available in it. And through this screen recording, you can understand how the proposal can be written. Thank you so much.